how important is it for a person to think along the lines of, and this kind of piggybacks on what we're talking about with the being a parent and the idea of who you want them to be.
Mhm.
How important is it for a person to, when they start on this path and they're thinking along the lines of what they're intending to create versus what they don't want to happen?
Mm.
You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah,
How is it? How important is it for? How important is that for them? Someone on this path of growth and expansion.
extremely, extremely important because each journey that we allow them to take, whether it be in a relationship, whether it be in a workforce, whether we want them to go into specific, like for me, coming from a military background, I wanted all my children to go into the military
Uh,
because for me, it was the the best next thing to slice cake,
yeah.
because of the benefits and all this other things. And I quickly found out that that was not their path. And the path that they were taking, I had to really look at it and go, you know what? They're happy doing that. They don't have to go do what I do. They're living their life. They're not hurting anybody. They're not on drugs. They're not locked up. They're not in the ground.
Right.
And I went, you know what? If you're happy, man, that's all that matters to me. Just be happy. And I would ask them, can you do better where you are? And if you can do better where you are, do that. If you can do a whole 360 from where you are and do something different, go do that. But for me, I was always military. When you turn 18, you should join the Navy. When you turn 18, you should join the Navy. When you turn 18, join the Navy. And they went, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that. So it's very important for them to have that because the undertaking allowed them to experience peace in their own way, where it wasn't a conflict between what they were doing and what I wanted them to do as a parent. You know, how many of us want our children to be doctors and lawyers and judges and then they go off and they become the street sweeper or the salesman or something that we
Yeah.
consider not glorified. But I say, you know what, if you go pick up trash and you're the sanitation man, you know how important that job is, because let them not pick up your trash for 3 weeks and find out how important they really are.
Right.
I said, let them
Right.
go into plumbing that we don't think is a great glamorous job and let your plumbing back up.
Right.
I said, but if you're happy doing that, then do that. I'm going to support you. So it's very important for them to find their way. And it's also important for parents to say, you know what, at the end of the day, as long as I've given my child the unconditional love, the openness to come to me and express themselves and support them however they are and where they are, they'll be okay. Are they going to make mistakes? Absolutely. Did we make mistakes? And I think that's where parents forget is we made mistakes also. But then when they make a mistake, we hold them to a much harder,
Yeah.
at least let me speak for me, a harder judgment than my own mistakes. And I had to tell myself that's not fair to them.
Hmm.
And I had to back off of, and they make mistakes. It's okay. That was part of their journey for them to learn and grow and experience so they can choose what they like, what they don't like, what they prefer, what they don't prefer, what worked for them, what didn't work for them, you know? So it's very, very, very important for not only them, but more important, mostly important for the parents and the ones that is guiding them to have that. We can no longer go from where we are because these generational children are way, way, way different, way
Hmm.
different. They've come into this innate world, incarnated world with more knowledge with these devices
Yep.
than what we grew up with. So now we can't use the old cliche of what we used to compared to what is here now.
Right.
We didn't have the laptops and the computers and the cell phones, and we were given a key around your neck to
Yeah.
get in the house
Yeah.
unsupervised. And, you knew when you got home, you better not open the door for.
Yeah.
These children are different. Now there's GPS. Now I can call you. Now it's totally different. And I think a lot of parents, especially our age, didn't want to make that transition because we didn't understand it because we went, well, I didn't grow up and I did this and I walked 15 miles in this, no, all that kind of stuff, where they don't have to do that anymore. So now I have to adjust in the times that we are now with the new souls that are here. And I have to look at my children as you're a new soul coming in with different experiences, different emotions, different ideas, different dreams than I dreamt. My dream was, oh, you go to the Navy. Didn't happen. And I had to go, you know what? It's okay. They're living their dream and they're happy within their dreams and they're living their life. What do I got to moan and groan about? Just
Yeah.
because they didn't do it my way doesn't make it perfect because I'm not perfect. I made way, 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 way more mistakes than I'd love to admit.
Yeah.
And them watching me, here's the thing, them watching me make mistakes and then try to put on them, this perfect character, oh, da, 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 da. But then they hear me tell some of the horror stories that I went through in the Navy and went, why would I want to go through that? And you're trying to tell me it's the best next thing, that's kind of a contradiction.
Yeah.
And then I try myself trying to backpedal, trying to clean up. Well, not every day is like that. Now I'm trying to do damage control when you've already put it out there. So it's very important that the parents kind of take a different outlook, and now as we're getting older, we're seeing the parenthood and the grandmothers being younger and younger and younger and younger.
Hmm.
Now you got a grandmama who's in their mid 30s, early
Yeah.
40s.
Yeah.
You wasn't supposed to be a grandmama until you was in your 60s and 70s but now we got a whole different generation that are coming in full of knowledge, full of change. And it's exciting to see them come in with full of change just to watch them, like I say, watching my children do their own thing and break the curse of you have to do it this way. And then I had to think, you know what? When I look in my family, out of all my siblings, I'm the oldest out of six of us. I'm the only one who joined the Navy. I'm the only one
Hmm.
who did martial arts. I'm the only one who did degrees and went to college and did this. And, why would I try to restrict them into not being who they are?
Yeah.
And they had to teach me, hey, go back and look at your life. You pretty much broke every rule
Yeah.
culturally going into your life. When I told my mother I was joining the Navy, she thought I was lying. Oh, you ain't going nowhere. Only because she seen me slam the doors on recruiters, hanging up on recruiters, ripping up the little flyers, and I'm not joining the military. They not gonna tell me what to do, and all that kind of stuff. So when it was time for me to really join the Navy after high school and fail college, not fail college, but not really want to do the college at that time,
Yeah.
I had to make a different choice, and I had to go. Oh man, I got to go back to that guy who I slammed the door on, tore the card up, disrespected, and go in there and kind of find out what I could do. For me, it was let me leave to find out who I was, because if I stayed, I would have became something they wanted, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but I wanted to find out more about me. I wanted to find out what bigger world we had other than Texas. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
grew up in a small town, then we moved to Dallas. Outside of that, I wanted to see what's outside of this. There got to be more than this,
Hmm.
other than
Hmm.
what you are telling me. So I wanted my children, in a sense, to join the Navy to have that same experience, but then not realizing that as we moved around, they were moving with me and not really realizing y'all had to conform every time we moved.
Hmm.
You had to adjust. And I never really took that into account until years later, where, wow, as a parent, military parent, that played a very hard role on them to meet new friends, because as children they're very sociable, meet new friends, and then all of a sudden 3 or 4 years we're leaving. Now you go into a whole nother state, a whole nother country, a whole nother environment, and now you got to start over and
Hmm.
meet new friends, new over and over and over and over. So at the end of the day I go, well, you've pretty much been more places than most kids, so
Yeah.
it's not that important for me to want you to join now because you'd
Yeah.
already lived from a bird's eye view from your perception of what it's like and seen me get up early, old dark 30 in the morning and come back old dark 30 at night and those type of things where you've already lived it in your own way. Why would I want you to go do that own? Why would I want you to go follow that when you've already done it in your own sense,
Hmm.
involuntarily?
Right. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So to watch them from a parent's eye from this perspective, knowing what I went through and what I have done, to watch them on their journey to find their own peace, to find their own completion, to find their own fulfillment, made me back up of and go, you know what? I'm so happy where you are. I'm so happy with the decision you have made. You know, I will always go, can you go further? Can you do better? If so, how? When? What will you do better? And just kind of put that on their plate to kind of chew on a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I back off. I become the outside coach and say, okay, well, hey, that didn't work for you. That's okay. I've never taught them the word failure. There's no such thing as failure. I always taught them, hey, if this didn't work, try something else. If that didn't work, try something else. If that didn't work, try until you figure it out what works for you. And if
Hmm.
not joining the Navy works for you and this works for you, I am perfectly happy with that. And I had to come as a parent to that truth. And
Hmm.
boy, that was hurtful because, again, my parents wanted me to go in this temporary job. They wanted me to do this and marry this particular type of girl and so forth and so on. And I went, well, man, I broke all the rules. I didn't do anything they want me to do. So why should I put that conformity on them? And
Right.
when I did join the Navy, I still got the same wisdom from my parents, but it was different. It was very different. And I also saw them change who they were according to who I was and who I was becoming as my own authentic self. And a lot of it they didn't agree with.
Yeah.
But they had to accept it because I got to the point where I wasn't backing down off of it. It was making me happy. I was okay with it. Just because it didn't fit them doesn't mean it didn't fit me. And I had to go to my kids, same thing. What doesn't fit me will fit you, and that's okay.
Hmm.
So it has to be this transformation that we have as we grow through the process of watching and learning and going, okay, even with my children, that didn't work, what works? That didn't work, what works?